The video for March the 4th, 2017 is titled, Making the Hidden Things Visible. Quote, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious, end quote, Carl Jung. To me, what Carl Jung said in that quotation is the most important thing for us to realize and act upon. Too many so-called spiritual people continue to put their heads in the sand and ignore the reality of the world in which we live. It is a world of lies, and the liars have been running things for a long time. Yes, more people are waking up, and more of the things long hidden are becoming known. This is essential as we move into the Aquarian Age of Spirit. Once the lights come on, which is happening, the dark workers panic because their deeds are evil, even horrific in many cases. Exposure is a rude awakening for those who have relied on human ignorance to maintain their control grid. While I wish more would get it sooner rather than later, I am pleased that many are finally starting to pay attention. This is very good. Yes, that quotation by Carl Jung to me is one of the most important truths that we're ever going to come across in regard to the transformation of our lives individually and collectively. We can all see the state of the world that we're in if we're paying any attention at all. Now, if we're watching the TV, chances are we're going to miss a lot of things, and a lot of what they put on there is for the purpose of creating fear. I'd like to create, if I possibly can, a positive outlook. Now, I admit that over the past year, once they stole my home, I fell into a lot of fear and even some panic, because where am I going to live? I mean, I knew that the situation of living with my son was, while it was important that the opportunity was there to do that, I realized that our lifestyles were not very similar at all. And our ideology on life, our viewpoint, varied a great deal. Yet, he tried to make the best of it, and so did I. And we survived a little over a year together. And as I get settled into my home here, feel like I'm coming into my own again, although there's still a lot of work to be done. I'm probably 85% of the books that I have. I've opened now the boxes and pulled out a lot. As you can see, the bookshelves are getting more filled behind me, although there's still ways to go. And I'm thinking now I might be extending how many books I'm going to keep versus how many I'm going to get rid of. I'm wondering if I'm going to have empty spaces in the bookshelves, but I don't know what's still remaining to be opened. But in any case, for a long time, the spiritual community, and myself included, because I was part of that community, felt that that the way to resolve things is not to focus attention on them. And yet, I am convinced more and more as time goes on that that's exactly the wrong thing to do, to pretend like, for example, say you have some kind of situation in your body that is causing your body to deteriorate. If you ignore it, it's not going to go away. Action needs to be taken, because when these warning signs come up, whether in our body or whether in society as a whole, when the warning signs become evident, it's time to take action to correct the situation. You don't correct a situation by ignoring it. You correct it by taking it head on and dealing with it to the best of your ability, making decisions as you go along on what remedy to take and what action to move in, what direction to move in. You become more aware of everything, and then you get more knowledge, more information, and the information grows. As I said, we're moving into a different age. Now, is that true? Are there such things as ages? Are we moving out of the Piscean age into the Aquarian age? Some would say yes. I don't know. It's the truth of the matter. I don't know. It's hard for me as a human being to accurately get to a point where I recognize that this is it. This is the real truth. Because I've learned from my own experience that truth is something that gradually unfolds, and we begin to know more and more as we are willing to let it unfold and not embed ourselves and block ourselves from further information. The worst thing that we can do is to pretend that we know the answers, because obviously in a time of rapid change like we're going through, or huge change, I don't know how rapid it is, but it's a big change that we're going through, because we are waking up. As we get into that waking up period, everything becomes a bit chaotic. And I guess that's the way it has to be, because we're being transformed, but the transformation process can be very painful for those that want to be in their comfort zone. It's not a comfort zone for us, folks. Whether you realize it or not, things are certainly challenging for all of us, whether we're trying to wake up or whether we're trying to hold on to the old paradigm and keep things the way they've always been. In either case, it's a challenge. It's a huge opportunity for us to reevaluate and reassess where we are, and to redefine how we got there to where we are, and to determine where we want to go in the future. Because we're building life. Life is something, that they say, be here now, be in the present moment. Well, that's a nice thing. But we also live in a continuum, and that is the present. The continuum is always present. There is a past and there is a future. That's the way time is. Denying it doesn't help. And that's what's wrong with so much of the modern spirituality. It's denial. Unity, for example, won't let me address issues that they are committed to avoiding, because they don't want to upset the apple cart. They don't want to create thought. And this is so unfortunate. When I say unity, I'm talking about the unity religion, the science of mind religion, the so-called new thought. The new thought is to ignore the past. Not completely, but by far and large, that's the agenda. To ignore the things that we label negative, and to focus only on that which we label positive. But then we don't get anywhere. We don't, again, as Carl Jung said, become enlightened by imagining figures of light, by pretending that only light exists. Light exists in the presence of darkness. In fact, it's because of light that darkness exists. But its existence, those shadows, is something that is real, that we have to deal with and come to grips with if we're going to grow and become the powerful beings I think we're capable of becoming. Anyway, folks, I hope what I'm saying makes sense to you. And as always, I thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my 10-minute videos every day. And I appreciate your comments, and thank you very much. Namaste.